Hi, hi.
Hi, welcome back.
Welcome back. This is FoodTaku Podcast, episode 11. Is that right,
Episode
Paul?
11. Yes, episode 11
Yeah.
already, which is kind of wild to think about.
It is. I know, considering we started last year and now, I don't know, it feels like the months have just flown right by.
Pretty much. I honestly can't believe it's February and it's
Uh,
like gearing up for convention season already. You know, like I can't even think about how close that is, right? Like what Anime
I
Expo's 4 months away?
Yeah, I'm not ready at all. I was thinking
Uh-uh.
about that the other day, like, oh, I should maybe start getting start applying for my industry tickets and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm gonna be. This is too much
I
pressure.
feel like after last year, because last year was so overwhelming, I feel like there's a lot of creators who are like, "You know what? We're gonna wait,
Mm,
and kinda feel it out and see if we're like you get the what is it? Not the courage to go, but
mm,
more of just, you know what? We're gonna do this kinda thing. Because
mhm.
I'm in that space. Like we're on the way to buy tickets, get everything loaded for Anime Expo, and then we're like, "You know what? We also have a wedding to go to the same weekend that's in San Diego. Do we wanna make sure like we're going back and forth with all?"
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know, man. I'm not ready to think about any of that.
No, me neither. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, my parents are coming to visit in a couple weeks, and so I'm like, I kinda need to just, like, get through that, basically get through February, and then I feel like I'll be in a better headspace to tackle the rest of the year.
To actually figure out what to do. Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
you on that.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like this is yeah, we're on episode yeah,
Mm,
it's what I've realized with convention season is that if you're not careful, it sneaks up on you.
yeah. You gotta get in the mindset. You gotta you gotta get ready. You gotta get your stuff together. You gotta get your plans together. In fact, I would say that convention season is very like coming on a trip to Japan, if I may be so inclined. Because I feel like with convention season, if you're doing it right and you're hitting like a bunch of conventions, you are like planned out. You're like, I
Yep.
know where I'm staying. I got my tickets. I know what panels I'm going to. I know what costumes I'm wearing. Like all of that stuff together, down to maybe the last detail of, like, I know where I'm gonna go eat, like, this is the restaurant I wanna try in this
Yep.
place, and I
Yep.
feel like, yeah, that's very similar to, kind of similar to coming to Japan,
So
honestly.
in going to Japan, I know we kinda talked about this last week before we had Emily on.
Mm.
And you were talking about, like, the things you, disliked about certain restaurants in Japan, right? I know you just taking a sip of water, you're, like, gonna spit it all out so you can be like,
Ah,
"Yo,
I
I
wanna,
gotta
like,
inform you."
ah, like, put
And
my cup down. Gah!
the reason why I bring that up is because, like, I wanna visit, I know there's probably people in the audience who wanna visit, so I wanna know, like, what you're like, where you were going with that conversation.
Yeah, okay, so here's the story. There I was in snowy Hokkaido, skiing my little heart out, enjoying some of the finest powder snow that Japan has to offer. And then me and my friends were hungry, we're ready, we're eager for a bite to eat, and we don't want our hotel food, which is very, very expensive. Okay.
Okay.
So we go into town and we're like, oh, we'll just walk into a restaurant, no big deal. We walk into this restaurant, it was a big deal. We had to wait in line for an hour to put our name on a list.
Hold on. So there was a line for the line. Okay. Just
There
wanna
was a line for the line. I have never been so okay, I wasn't, like, angry or anything because we were with a group of friends and you wanna keep it like, when you're waiting for food and everyone is hungry, the worst thing you can do is have a bad attitude about it. Like, you need to feel excited and like, "We can do this, we're gonna play some games, it's gonna be really fun," you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, so, yeah, we get in line and we're waiting there, we're playing, like, little games. I have this line game that I invented called, Accepting Defeat, where you it's the stupidest game ever. You basically just
Okay.
kick each other in the shins until someone admits defeat.
Okay.
Like, get it? Like, it's like defeat, like
Yes. So
Okay.
yeah, okay.
So anyway, we're there literally kicking each other in the shins, waiting for time to pass, and people are cutting us in line, like, it was cutthroat. Like, people are slipping in, they're kinda standing there, they're kinda waiting for us to come in for a move, Um, like, we shift back, like, a half step, and then bam, there's, like, a little old lady who's suddenly in front of us in line, and we're like, okay." The time comes for when they start accepting names on the list again, and they, basically are like, "Okay, we're gonna open the door, and, it's just first come, first served to the list." So there's, like, this little lady in front of us in line, and I don't know where she came from. She claimed that she had been waiting longer than we had. I disagree, I hadn't seen her around anywhere. So they opened the door, and one of the people that I'm with kinda, like, casually this is so horrible. They, like, casually distract this lady. They're like, "Oh, your shoe's untied," or whatever. I slip around like a little minnow, and I, like, get in there and write our names down and, like, step to the side, and the lady realizes she's been duped, and she, puts her name after us. She didn't say anything to us, but, like, that's how it is in Japan. You never, like, say anything to anyone. You
You
just
just give them the stare.
you just cast withering glances, like, that kinda thing. So all this to say, it was a truly unpleasant experience. The food was great. We did sit to after we put our names on the list, we waited another 40 minutes.
Oh
Um,
my god.
yeah, and
Okay, so
food
you're
was
an
really
hour and a
good.
half into this now.
Yeah, so the food yeah, so we couldn't quit, right? We're like, "We're here, we're committed." At that point, we're literally, like, naming letters of the alphabet and trying to guess the word that we're thinking of. Like, it was a dire
I would
situation,
lose my
Paul.
mind. I would
It
lose
was
my
a
mind.
dire situation, and it just made me think that it is so true about Japan and Japanese restaurants that you have to make a reservation. Yeah, yeah, KT is saying lines are cutthroat. They are in Japan, people love to queue in Japan, and there's normally, like, order to it, but when people are hungry and it's snowing and freezing cold outside, it gets intense. And, I think this is something that a lot of tourists don't really realize is that if you come here and you have a restaurant you wanna eat at, if you can make a reservation as soon as you know that you're coming to Japan because, stuff fills up fast, and then if you're only there for, like, 3 days and you're like, "Oh, I wanted to go for dinner on this day," you go to book, surprise, it's already full because 'cause you're trying to book the day before, and it's just, like, such a bunch of hoopla. I find it really, like, unfun. The good news is once you've made your reservation, you don't have to worry about it anymore, and you're confirmed that you're gonna eat there and it's gonna be great. But, like, if you wanna go anywhere, drop of the hat that's, like, nice, um, you gotta make a reservation in advance, and
'Cause
I
I
don't
feel
like that.
like I I mean, the only time I had visited was so long ago. There wasn't anywhere that I made reservations because I just didn't know, so I just walked into most places, and they either told me they, had availability or not. But for, like, the day to day,
Mm.
that's not really the case, right? I would assume where you're like, I had to wait 2 hours for
Mm.
food?
No, that's not normal. I feel like we were in a situation where, again, we were in Hokkaido, in Niseko. It's big snow country up there, and it's very tourist driven, in the sense that this, like, town is really only active in the snowy months,
Yep.
and as a result, a lot of the staff that's working there is, temporary kind of.
Okay.
Because Japan's been having a lot of issues right now because they just opened their border to tourists and stuff like that. The people who usually run snow country are tourists, right? Like, they
Mm,
get in Australians or New Zealanders to come and, like, t teach the snow like, the ski schools and stuff like that,
right, right.
and they have a lot of temporary staff that's coming in for the winter. We haven't had that so much here because it's been so shut down for so long, so that was part of the problem for sure, so I feel like that 2-hour wait is definitely unusual, but I I will say that it is, like, hard. It's hard to get in sometimes, and you do want to, like, make those reservations when you can if you know that you're gonna go to a restaurant somewhere
Because
good.
what it really sounds like is this is the first, like, winter really that the borders have been open, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Am I okay, I didn't know if, like, last year they were kind of open, so this year is the first time they've really been open, and
yeah.
that's why I'm we wanted to visit this year because, like, everything's open, but then everyone is visiting this year, it
Mhm,
feels like, you just look on
mhm,
social media and so many people are just trying to visit Japan,
mhm,
which,
mhm.
they've been wanting to go for a couple of years. They finally get to go, so they go, and that was a big reason for us. Be like, "You know what? Let's put it off till the
Smart.
following year." So, like,
It's smart.
going in this coming October instead,
Yeah,
and which now due to other things may actually still go to March.
yeah,
So we'll
yeah.
we'll see how that plays out. But it's like I'm honestly kind of worried about, like, trying to go to certain restaurants without, like, because. when we like to travel, we're kind of whimsical. We're like, you know what? Let's
Mm.
just go and let's go
See what we
experience. Let's
can
just go
find.
do something, right? Just go
Yeah,
find a
yeah.
place. And now I'm like, are we going to actually find a place to eat that's not a convenience store?
You will, like, you can walk into plenty of, like, bars and stuff like that, and you can get some really unique and cool stuff, like, usually that's not too much of an issue. I will say that it is important, like, even on the weekends here, like, there are some really cool street bars in Nakameguro and stuff, and, like, when I went with my friends, they were packed, you couldn't get in at all unless you got there at, like, 5 o'clock right when they
Right.
opened. So, if you're gonna go somewhere with no reservation, plan on getting there right when they open. I would say. And I it kind of depends on the food experience that you want. Like in this case, in this town that we were at, there was only like one izakaya and
This is
that
the place.
was
This is the in Hokkaido.
yeah, and so it
Yeah.
was super competitive to get in. You'll have more options in Tokyo, of course. Um but yeah, I don't know. Especially if there's a place Japan does this thing where they televise restaurants and they, like, highlight them and show them off
Oh,
and stuff
okay.
like
So
that.
it's a giant like hype moment.
So if it's and those places get really well known. So if you're trying to go to one of those places, don't like there's this, Beatles themed pizza shop that we've been trying to get into
Beatles
for,
like
like,
the band.
the band. Yeah, the
Okay.
band. We've been trying to go there, and every time we walk up, they're like, "No, full, no, full, like, we can't take it."
That's
So yeah,
wild. Just
yeah,
for like a random like Beatle like I would have never thought that a Beatles themed pizza bar would be packed, but it seems like that's kind of the MO in Japan, right? Like once something is new and shiny, people like to go. That's why before this we are talking about like the Chainsaw Man pop-up restaurant, which is probably going to be packed up until the time it closes because it's the new thing to go to. It's
yeah,
it feels like that is part of the culture in that regard, right? Like the
yeah,
new thing pops up, everybody goes, and then it's gone, and they bring out another thing.
yeah.
They, I remember that happening way back in the day when I was working in San Diego. There were only like 4 or 5 major, like, business owners that owned multiple nightclubs and restaurants, and
Mm.
they did this thing where, like, every year or 18 months, they would close one of the, like, the nightclubs that wasn't doing well, quote, unquote, and then just opening a new one under a different name with basically, like, the same
The same
decor.
pr yeah,
And so
yeah.
it built all of this fervor around it, and you're like you walk in, you're like, "This is the same club, or this is the
Yeah,
same bar." All they
yeah,
did was, like, change the lighting and maybe a sign, which cost
yeah,
them, let's say, 10 grand, and they make so much money because it's the talk of the town, and people are like, "Oh, did you check out the new place?" And you walk in, you're like, "It's the
yeah,
same place." It's the same
yeah,
people who are working there half the time, right? They
yeah.
just literally
It's like,
change
"We're gonna
everything else.
shuffle you
Yeah,
over."
and
Mm.
okay, so KT makes a great point, right? Like, how do you feel about tourists now? Right. So the like he brought up like the trash taste guys are like, oh, we kind of miss the tourists and this and that. And everything feels so empty. And now everybody is like, ah, tourists are here. They're back.
It pros and cons, pros and cons. Um, it is I think ultimately I feel very positive about it. Obviously, like, a lot of what I do, right? Like, anime cookbook, like, anime food, all of that depends on foreigners, really.
Mhm.
Like, I want people to want to, like, watch anime and to like anime and to be into it, and tourists to Japan are a natural consequence of that. Like, if you know that you're doing a good job selling the culture of Japan, if you got people who wanna come and be here in person and experience it. So,
Okay.
I would say overwhelmingly, I feel happy that tourists are back because I think that, it's really interesting, like, when all the tourists left, everyone in Japan was very happy because they're like, "Oh, it's our
They're like,
country
oh,
again."
breathing room.
Eh
Yeah.
yeah, "It's our country again, breathing room," like, "Oh, it feels like it's so nice not to have tourists here clogging up the space and, like, bringing their crazy tourist ways with them." But in a lot of ways, I feel that in Japan, tourists have a really nice balancing effect to kind of some of the more
Okay.
rigid customs of Japan. Like, Japan is a country that's very rule driven and it's very bound by their own ideas of how things should be. And when you throw tourists into the mix who come and they're loud and they're noisy and they're annoying, but also cool and interesting and have awesome ideas and different ideas about what tourism should look like and that kind of thing, it pushes stuff forward in Japan.
Mhm.
There's innovation. People are doing different stuff. Like all of the gluten-free restaurants closed. Like legit, all the gluten-free restaurants closed
During, like, COVID.
during COVID. And it was so I was so sad, like, it was such a disappointment, because practically, like, I was living with someone who could only have gluten-free food, and that
Okay.
was devastating. But also, like, it's good for everyone. Like, Japanese people benefit from these things too that foreigners kinda bring over, you know? And so, it's really nice to have tourists coming back in because I think it's gonna push that forward a little bit. And yes, tourists can be super annoying and they can like clog up the streets and like be really obnoxious and noisy and loud or whatever. And I've seen more tourists in my neighborhood, my suburban neighborhood in these good Christian suburbs, just random strangers walking around. And I'm like, who are you? I've never seen you here before in my life.
It's just
Um,
people literally exploring at that point,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and so it's kinda weird, I'm kinda like, "Oh my god, I need to, like, lock the door of my apartment now, I don't know who these people are." Not that I don't normally, but, you know, it's very, it's a little weird to see tourists back, but I think it's ultimately for the best. It is a little annoying sometimes when I will say this, last night I was out to dinner with my friends, I was celebrating my friend's birthday, and she is Japanese, her husband is, you know, American,
Mhm.
and she was so upset. We stopped at a Starbucks on the way out, and they asked her if she was visiting. They're like, "Oh, are you here on vacation?" And she was like, "That's the second time it's happened to me this week alone. I
Oh,
live
no.
here, like, I'm
Yeah.
Japanese." So it's kind of funny. I kind of feel like, especially a lot of expats who live here kind of have that feeling of like, "I've been here, like, this is my city," which is I think a natural thing, but at least for people who are literally actually foreigners here, you kinda have to, like, let go of that a little bit
Right, right, for
and
sure. Like, you've been
understand that
there for what, 4 years now?
4 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Tourism helps everybody, and we desperately need it. I am so poor right now. I'm not getting paid nearly enough money in my day job because of the yen is so weak. We
Mm.
need people to come in and be spending money,
You hear
like,
that, guys in
please.
chat? Everybody needs to go visit
Yeah,
and spend your
everyone in
dollar reviews.
chat, please come. Come and
"Please
visit.
come, we need you to visit." Yeah,
Please.
yeah. I kinda
I I
it
need the
it
yen to
it
go
it
up.
is interesting, like, a country like Japan, I mean, I don't know, I'm not and I have no idea, I don't even know how to spell economist. I don't even know if that's the word, right? But, like, you would think that you realize how important tourism is,
Mm,
depending on your exports or whatever, it's like, you would think that you would understand that tourism is hyper important for you, right, as a
mm.
country, and
Yeah.
it's just even I don't know, like, where I am in Oregon, it's like we do have some tourism and stuff, but we have other exports, so it's like we have our own thing going, but I when I was out there, it felt like either there was a giant amount of tourists from outside of the country and within the country, right? Like people from whatever down south are visiting up north and that kind of thing, but it's never going
Mhm.
to replace like just people coming in and
Yeah.
spending their money in the
Y
country.
yeah.
I don't know, because I would do that. Like when I went out there,
Yeah.
I spent probably $6,000 in 25 days just on myself.
Yeah.
Right? That included, like, plane ticket and everything, which the country still gets part of when you buy a
Yeah.
plane ticket out there, right, for
Yeah.
taxes and stuff. So it's like
Mhm.
that one person spends all of that. It's like, invite bring the tourists in.
Yeah.
Let
We
them, as long as you're not doing anything
Japan
dumb.
Japan needs them. I think there's a lot of industries that kinda went under or got real shaky in COVID times and stuff, and it's the money, it's the ideas too, it's, like, pushing stuff forward, getting people to lighten up a little bit and, like, obviously, I'm not trying to change Japanese culture, Japanese ways of life, and they're set and they've worked for centuries and centuries, but, like, sometimes it's okay to talk on the train, like,
Mhm.
sometimes it's okay to, like, push back on those little things and you know, as long as you're not being, like, totally rude, it's just nice to have some more lively ideas kind of going on here. I will put it like this, like, in Japanese movie theaters, everyone is dead silent all the time. I don't know if I've mentioned this
R
before.
Rachel and I would get booted so fast
Yeah,
because
so
we're always
this is
Yeah.
what I mean, like, Japanese society is so, uh cultivated, I would say that, like, no one makes noises in movie theaters because they're being polite for other people and whatever. I think people are generally just a little bit more restrained. There I was watching the new Black Panther film. I cried 3 times in that movie. It's not even a good movie, and there I was at the beginning in a mask, right? Just like sniffling, crying because like the opening scene is very sad. Then in the middle, another devastating scene. I was like, just like sniveling away, and my mask is getting all like watery. It was disgusting. And then at the end, a triple whammy, another devastating scene. I gave up. I was trying to like keep it in and contain it. I was like, like full on sobbing. Everyone around me, dead quiet, dead quiet. And I was like, you know what?
It is
This
what
is
it
just,
is, like
you know?
I don't know. If I'm gonna laugh at a movie theater, I'm gonna laugh at a movie theater, like whatever it
Yeah,
might
yeah,
be.
yeah.
Do you do you s- do you stay for the credits?
In Japan, you have to. You don't
Do
get a
you really
choice.
still?
Yeah, yeah, because nobody else moves. Nobody else moves.
What if like
Everyone's
it's
sitting
what if
there.
it's like Avatar, which is a 3.5 hour movie, right? You haven't gotten up to pee, and then they roll like an extra 30 minutes of credits. Do you just hold it the whole time? That sounds
Yeah,
miserable.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Yeah,
I fully admit, like, I'm one for respecting culture and tradition. I would get up and just go to the bathroom and, like, go be
immediately.
done with it. I'm like,
Oh god, yeah. It's sometimes intimidating being in Japan because you wanna be a good like, I wanna be a good foreigner and, like, not bother anyone and not, you know, be a nuisance to people. But sometimes it's really hard to fight the things that you grew up with, like the ways of life that you embraced as a child, like laughing in movie theaters, you know?
that's kinda like what KT just said about, Shin Ultraman, where
Mm,
he didn't know if the movie was good or whatever, and then got actual reactions in the US, like, that like, could you imagine if some like, you wrote, like, probably, like, the best comedy of your life and it airs in Japan and just stony silence
yeah.
the whole time?
Yeah, no, dude, actually, I was just asked by, I'm a teacher in my day job. One of my students is doing, like, a TED Talk situation, like, he's organizing a TED Talk event at the school, and he was like, "Oh, you would make a great TED Talk speaker. You should sign up to give a speech." And I was like, if we're desperate, because there would be like, I'm sure I could put on a great speech, but literally the whole audience would sit there and be dead silent. So I'd be
Yeah,
cracking jokes left, right, and center, and it would just be like,
and you're
like
like, "And
radio
I did
silence.
I am I just
Yeah.
missing the mark?" Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't know if that's what I want to do, but if we're
Because like,
desperate.
that's the like, if you're just watching a stand-up special, you'll see a comedian just kinda miss the mark, and they expect, like, a reaction, and a reaction doesn't happen, and they quickly move on, to
Yeah.
the next thing. But
Yeah.
it's like you're quickly moving on to the next thing constantly if you're
Yeah.
in Japan, it sounds like. Wait,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Every culture has their own thing, but, like, the restaurant thing you had mentioned,
Mm.
I don't know if I could handle waiting an hour and a half for food,
I
I
I do think
that's
that
gonna
that
be
was a
rough.
desperate situation. I've never waited that long before in Japan.
But
I
it was worth it.
It was well, yeah, in the sense that, like, it was either eat that and enjoy it or, like, go home hungry.
Or go get
But,
convenience store.
yeah, this town has one convenience store.
Where
It's a small little
the small
place
town where you are, or the small town in Hokkaido?
in Hokkaido where we were.
I I want to visit Hokkaido when we come
Y
up
you
because, like,
should.
okay,
Perfect weather at that time that you're gonna be
in
here.
October?
Perfect weather. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm saying that I've never been to Hokkaido anytime except for the winter, but,
okay,
I've heard that it's amazing year round.
okay. I think Chris just released a video on Hokkaido where he, like, walked through Hokkaido, am I
Yeah.
mistaken?
I
I don't
think
maybe
so.
maybe chat knows, Chris Broad released a video recently where he had, like, spent 24 hours walking through something, and I don't remember if it was Hokkaido or not, but I know he does a lot of stuff in Hokkaido, and that's where I've seen a lot of Hokkaido content, and I'm like, "I wanna go
Yeah.
to Hokkaido, I wanna drink all of the milk," because apparently they're known for their milk, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
so.
they're dairy
Like,
products.
either dairy products, like, go eat ice cream and all of
Yeah.
like, I wanna do all of that, but
Yeah.
like, I want to know too, as far as someone who's coming out there, or if anybody in chat is planning on going out there,
Mm.
what is like a must do, right? When you're visiting. So it could be you're gonna eat something, you're gonna go somewhere, you're like, put this on the bucket list.
Hmm.
What would that thing be? And I mean, it
Of,
would be
like
kinda hard 'cause you are in Tokyo, so, like
yeah. You mean, like, Hokkaido specifically?
no, let's say Tokyo, because most people
Okay.
will be flying into Narita, I'm
Tokyo.
assuming,
Mm,
or
mhm.
there's one more big airport, right?
Haneda. Mhm.
Oh, no, no, yeah. So you're gonna be in that area, because like, what
Yeah.
what would that thing be?
Must-do thing. Well, I think it really depends on like, what your interests are. I would say okay, I got 2 things in mind. 1, I like anytime I go to a new city, I really like to see it from up high, and I really like to try to
Oh,
get underneath the city if I can. So,
okay.
that to me, those are always the most fun experiences. Like, go up, go into, like in Roppongi Hills, there is a 360 observation deck in Mori Tower that is really cool. You get the most beautiful nighttime view of Tokyo Tower.
I
Like the
think I've been to that. I think
yeah.
I've been to that, where it's, like, just windows all the way around?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that okay,
It's
that is
it's
cool.
super nice. It's great to go during the day. It's also I think it's beautiful at night because you can see everything lit up. And I like that because I like to get a view of the whole place and kinda orient myself a little bit. And then I always find that any kinda underground tour you can do is, like, the most I like slightly, like, creepy and occult things. And not that these things are always creepy and occult, but, like, I did the sewer tour in Paris this last summer, and it was so much fun just to, like, explore the sewers of Paris.
Interesting.
Um, and, like, if you can get underground, I think that it's worth it. And not I don't mean, like, the train underground. I mean, like,
Right, because then when
doing
you're like, "Oh, okay,
something
maybe, like, underground, shopping districts or whatever," which
yeah,
exists,
yeah.
okay.
And you know what? Actually, the Tokyo Metro system has an underground mystery tour it's kind of like they give you a packet and then, you go through the different train stations in Tokyo, basically, and you try to, like, solve mysteries and, like, do challenges and stuff like that. Like, that to me would be a really fun experience thing to do. That would be,
Gotcha.
like, underground, that would be kinda cool.
I love that
Um,
because those are
yeah.
those are 2 like, the observation deck I would do, I didn't think about the underground thing. That sounds fun because that sounds like a lot of the histories behind it too.
Yes. So that would be my first thing to do. I saw a couple people in the comments are like, Eat everything, ride a bullet train."
Yeah, I'm reading them
100%
right now,
100%
yeah.
agree with that. But
Okay.
the other thing that I would do if I were you is, I would pick I think that people in Japan, like people when they come to Tokyo, they wanna see Tokyo by going to, like, places. Like,
Okay.
"Oh, I wanna see Tokyo Tower, and then I want to go to see, like, the big shrine at Asakusa, like, Asakusa Temple, and then I want to go to, I don't know, like, Tokyo train station or whatever." My advice would not be to try to see Tokyo by, like, landmark. My advice would be to see Tokyo by district, by area. I
Mm,
think it's a lot more fun that way to explore the neighborhoods. So, like, if you're a fashion girly, like, you know that you're gonna be in Harajuku and Omotesando, plan, a day to just walk around that area and, like, discover stuff, see what's there, see what's out and about. And that could be really cool. I am actually right now working with my friend Joe on this incredible walking tour of Akihabara that we're gonna have, available. You guys heard it here first. We're hoping to have this up and online a month from now, where it takes this concept of like, you wanna go to Akihabara and experience it and see it, and you wanna learn all about anime and stuff like that, great. Just take this tour, and it's like a self-guided walking tour. You can put yourself anywhere you want, start anywhere you want, and then, just go, and we have, like, lists and lists and lists of
oh, I
stuff
love
and, like,
that.
history behind stuff, so you can just explore an area, like, really authentically. Explore the area, shop a little bit, stop and have snacks, bathroom breaks, we have that all worked in. And so it's a way of experiencing a neighborhood of Tokyo, that I think it provides so much more, like, so much better understanding about it, Like, you have fun, you're there for, like, 4 or 5 hours just bebopping around, you're playing games with your friends. It's like you're living in the moment as opposed to just like, "Okay, we saw this thing," like, we gotta
and then
hop on the
move
train
on,
and go
right?
an hour this way over here,
Yeah,
and we can go to the bathroom if we really hurry because we gotta catch our next train. Like, that to me is not fun. Like, sitting in a place and, like, eat there, shop there, like, do a little light sightseeing in that area. That's what's really, like, a fun experience, I think.
I agree, and that way you can, like, kinda take in your surroundings a bit more. Like,
Yeah,
when Rachel and I recently, well, not recently, it was a couple years ago, we visited Scotland, and it was the same thing. Like, we were driving through the country, and we're like, "Oh, that looks cool, let's stop." And we
yeah,
stop for a couple of hours and maybe have a drink or have some food or whatever and, like, walk around and explore and then hop back in the car and keep going, and it just made it to where, like, you weren't in a hurry to get anywhere you needed to go. Like, yeah, we have an Airbnb somewhere, and when we get there,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
that is the most fun to me. But then
yeah.
on the flip side, it sounds like if you want to see stuff, you do have to plan ahead. So
Mhm.
it's, you know, figuring out that kind of thing.
Ooh, if you know if you have, like, an experience you want and you know that it's, like, difficult, like, our tour kind of thing that we're making focuses on just, like, that little shrine across the street over there, what is it actually? And, like, why does it exist? And, like, what, like, spirit is residing there? Like, it's, like, little neighborhood facty things like that. If you know you wanna go to a restaurant or you know there's a museum you wanna go to that is gonna require advanced reservations, obviously you should book that in advance and kind of plan around that. But if you have days where you're just like, "Oh my god, I wanna go to Akihabara and I don't really know what's there. I just wanna go there because that's where the anime is." Like, staying there and experiencing that neighborhood would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I agree. I think when I went to Akihabara, I had no plans on visiting anything, and I was just like, "Let's just go explore." And I
Yeah.
was in just Akihabara for like 8 or 9 hours, and I
Yeah,
got to,
yeah,
like, explore it to my heart's content. So that was super fun. But
yeah.
I don't know, what do you guys think in chat? So I was kind of reading chat while we were going around, and a few people were like, saying they want to like eat everything, ride the bullet train, that kind of thing. They want to explore like for their first time seeing a friendly face. Like I kind of agree too. Or here Ron says, when I go out to travel, I don't want to feel time restraint. I want to enjoy exploring.
Yeah.
I'm very much in this camp too, where I'm like, yo, I don't want to be on an itinerary.
Mhm,
Itineraries kind of suck for me because I'm like,
mhm,
well, I was enjoying my time here and now it's just like cut short,
mhm,
right? You're
mhm.
like, okay, I guess we'll go to the next thing, but I wasn't done enjoying this thing. And
Yeah,
for someone like me, when's the next time I'm going to get to visit? That's
yeah,
how I see it, right?
yeah,
So I'm like, I'm hoping I could visit Japan like once a year if we can facilitate that. But
yeah,
it's like, how many people can, right?
yeah.
I make like a lot of anime content. I've only been to Japan once, right? I met someone recently. I sold him all of my Magic the Gathering cards because I'm raising
Nice.
money for a scholarship,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he goes to Japan. I think he said every 3 months to buy Magic cards out there
Cool. Yeah.
as arbitrage, and then brings them back here to sell them. So he's like,
Cool.
I just get to go to Japan for a business expense, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I should get into selling magic cards,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
get into that business.
No,
But
for
I
real.
don't know, there's so much to do and explore, but I
I
wanna see the anime side of it,
I
like
agree, and, I think that, like, in response to I think was it Ron's comment? Like, wanting to enjoy the time and the experience. I completely agree. I honestly think that this is where travel is and tourism is heading. I've been in the tourism game since I was literally, like, 6 months old. Like, I've been traveling my whole life, and I think that it's really changed over time to go from more of, like, "We're hitting this museum and this museum and this museum, and then we're going here and doing this thing," to that more experience, like, living in the moment kind of feeling with tourism. And, I really think that that's the way to go to just, like, soak it all in, have that moment, and enjoy what you're seeing and what you've paid all that money for, you know? But, like, yeah, honestly, and Japan has so much to offer. You could come here every 3 months and find something new to do and have fun. My friend does that. She's a major Utapri fan, and she comes here literally every 3 months to, like, go to their virtual concerts and hang out with her friends
that's
who are in
so
the
wild.
stuff, and, like, that's what I love her. She's just like, "I'm happy with my life. I just save up my money, and then I come to Japan and, like,
And
maybe
use
stop
your
over for."
3-month visa so you don't have to
Yeah,
figure out any paperwork and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's, like, the way to go for sure.
We were talking about that. I'm like, how sick would it be to be at a point where you could come out there and stay out there for like a fall or winter or spring or whatever and just use your US visa and not like have to
Yeah,
worry about actual paperwork. You just get
yeah,
maybe like a furnished Airbnb for 3 months, which is very expensive, but
yeah,
you know, if maybe you're not there for a month, maybe you're there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is. I
yeah.
like we found okay, so this is it gets kind of weird that like shifting the conversation this way, but we're looking at plane tickets to come visit.
Mm, mm.
And here's a little hack for people in the comments. We have an Alaska card. Like I always fly with Alaska just because it's up and down the West Coast, so it's easy.
Yeah.
And we found if since I have the credit card, which I pay $75 a month a year for, right? You get free bags when you board, which is huge because usually it's like $60 a
That's
bag,
really nice,
right?
yeah,
And so
yeah.
I fly probably like 7, 8 times a year and
Mm,
just within the US. But we were looking at it. If you guys are traveling, so if you have a significant other as well, or even a friend or whoever that's going to travel with you, you can fly from a one way from the West Coast. So in our case, Portland, and use the companion fare, which is $90 with Alaska.
mm.
You go to Hawaii and it's like $400 for two people, right? And
Yeah,
then you take one way tickets from Hawaii to Tokyo
mhm,
and then that's like an additional, I think it was 800. So both of
mm,
us to get to Tokyo was $1,200.
mm,
And then going back was about 900 for
mm,
whatever reason. We're like, okay, so our plane tickets were like $700 cheaper than they normally would be. And
mhm.
I'm like, those little things, I'm like, okay, if you really want to travel, it just depends on where you put your priorities and money, I think, traveling
Yeah,
doesn't have to be super expensive. Even going to a country like Japan,
mm,
if you're able to get cheap plane tickets, you could stay in a capsule hotel for 2
yeah,
weeks, and it's like
yeah.
20 bucks a night, right?
I think that, to your point, isn't that a companion
It is. The
pass for
companion
once
pass
a
is
year?
once a year, but if you're only going once
Oh,
a year,
yeah,
it's still worth it.
yeah. I think you're right. Actually, some Japan travel hacks. If you can come in the off season, if you can come in February, you'll get some of the cheapest tickets you've ever found in your life. I had friends fly out here once on $300 round trip from LA tickets, in February,
That's
and then they
ridiculous.
yeah, and it is off season, so there's not like a whole lot of tourists here at this point in time. So it's sometimes it's a little dead going around town, but um they were just yeah, cheap accommodation, hotels are cheap. Everything is just cheaper because there's not very many people here for tourism purposes. And if you can come in the off season, that you can get some really really good deals. But it's true too. I was going to say going back to the point that you were making earlier about like staying in Japan for a while, if you have the ability to live or like work remotely or something like that, there are a lot of countries that will offer you visas to just come live in their country and work from their country because they want you to be there like spending money in that
Right,
country.
right, right.
Japan does not have one of those as far as I know. But depending on what country you're from, you can be like Americans can be here for 90 days on a tourist visa, you know. And I have a friend who's doing exactly what you just said, Paul. Like he came here in late November. He's leaving the first week of March. He's just been here for the winter season. He's like working, you know, he's a tech bro he's a tech bro out of the Bay Area, and he's just been like living here and working and
Just chilling. Yeah,
just
getting paid from
chilling,
his tech job. Yeah.
hanging out with his friends, doing his stuff, and then he's about to go back to his actual like, where he lives, and he's like, "Yeah, this has been really fun, this has been really great." I can't speak to his visa status or anything like that, but he found a way to make it work, and it seems like it's been really, really fun for him, he's really enjoyed it.
That's that, like, true, like, nomad lifestyle,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't know if I could do that, to be honest. Like, if I moved
Mm.
somewhere for 3 months, I'd have to bring my cats with me.
Mm,
Like,
mm.
I'm not leaving my animals, like,
Yeah,
too attached to them, right? So that
yeah.
that that is hard, but, here's an interesting question, so,
Mm.
Emily, do you have tattoos? I don't know if you
No,
do or not.
I
Okay.
do not
So
have
so is
tattoos.
having tattoos when going to an onsen still taboo, like, not allowed? Who
Oh.
did I speak with about
Mm.
this recently. I don't know if I oh, you know what? I think I asked you guys about tattoos. But I know that you can also go to quite a few onsen that allow them, where they're just or you'll
Yeah,
have private ones.
you
You know,
can.
you can have a private bath or like they don't care. Or from what I've heard, if you look like a foreigner and you have tattoos, they more than likely don't care most of the time because of just
Yeah.
how normal it is now.
Yeah, well, it kinda depends. It kinda depends. There are, onsens that are specifically tattoo friendly, and the only difference between those onsens and non-tattoo friendly onsens is that there's literally no difference. I don't know. I've got a lot of friends who have tattoos. We've never really had a problem. I have a friend who's got a tattoo, a giant tattoo across her entire back, and, like, we kinda just gaijin smash. We kinda, like, just go for it and don't say anything to anyone, and then, like, no one does anything, and it's, like, fine. Um I have seen when I was in Hokkaido, actually, I saw, like, a legit Yakuza member and his girlfriend, and she was covered in tattoos, and we were staying at a nice hotel, and no one said anything, and it was, like, fine. So, I don't know. Obviously, I think if it's not officially, yes, someone says we've got
Zelda
Zelda
tattoos, yeah.
tattoos.
Could you imagine getting kicked out of an onsen because you, like, took your
You're
shirt
like,
off or whatever,
"Ah,
and you get
my
into a bath and
Triforce
there's a Triforce on your
my
chest, and you're
Triforce
like, "You
symbol."
gotta go, bro. You can't
Yeah. Yeah,
Triforce is not
those are
okay."
those are gang signs, those are street signs
Like,
here.
s
Get away.
that yeah, that part of I still don't get, right? Like, I'm gonna get
Yeah.
kicked out, like, for the Pikachu dressed up as Goku on my forearm, right?
Damn,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
screwed.
how
I'm done.
dare you.
I was just like, "You
Yeah,
know what? I'm just gonna go to a hotel that has my own little bath. That's all I want. Just gonna
yeah.
sit in the
If
soaking tub."
Yeah, I think particularly if you've got a small discreet tattoo that you can just slap a Band-Aid on or,
Mhm.
a little, like, patch on or something, you should be
I know
fine.
that there was a video that, Aki Dearest did because I think she has tattoos, but she had
Yeah.
done, like, the temporary ones and just put a bunch of them on there, and she, like,
Yeah.
went around to see if she can get people's reactions, and no one cared. Like,
Yeah,
no
'cause
one said anything.
people don't really care. Yeah, I mean, it depends, of course. The I feel like the younger generation is a lot more, like, blasé about
Lenient.
it. It doesn't really bother them, and I think the idea that tattooing can be not associated with criminal activity is like, way more prevalent here than it ever has been before. You get sometimes a couple, like, older people perhaps who are a little, like, scared or whatever, but I don't know. People in Japan are so good at just minding their own business and, like, keeping their eyes on the prize and, like, not being distracted by other people. But, like, it's crazy because there are some amazing, amazing tattoo artists here. I have a friend who went
I wanna get a tattoo from a Japanese
Dude,
artist.
dude, please. I have a friend who has gone to probably, like, one of the most prolific tattooists in Tokyo, and, her work is mind-blowingly beautiful. It's so gorgeous. And that's another one where you need a reservation, by the way.
Okay.
You can't just walk into, like, a
And
tattoo
I feel
shop.
like if you're a tourist doing that, you have to time it to where, like, I'm leaving the next day, so I need to get a
Yeah.
tattoo today, so I'm not, like, worried about it during my
If
trip.
you're well, let's put it this way, like, if you're really serious about the ink that you're getting, you do your research on your artist and you figure out which artist will accommodate you and stuff like that. You can't it's a lot harder to walk in to tattoo shops here because I think
Mhm.
well, in my I don't know, I don't have one obviously, and I haven't been to one, but I think that, like, tattooing since it's not so common here, there's a lot less tattoo artists, and it's not like in America, you can just walk into a place off the street and be like, "Hey, I want a butterfly on my arm." Like, who can
Yeah,
do that
right?
for
It's
me
just
in an
half drunk.
hour?
"I want a butterfly right here on my
Yeah.
forehead." They'll do it, you know?
Yeah, but it's a little I think it's a little bit more planned in Japan, and if there's an artist here that you really like, you should definitely, plan to be here for the time that they need. My friend in particular, this artist is, like, really prolific. He doesn't work on like, he will not accept you if he doesn't like your concept or your idea.
Oh,
So
wow.
she went in and she was like, "This is what I want. This is kinda what I'm gonna leave it up to you in terms of art style and color and everything, but this is kind of like the imagery that I want." And he was like, "Hmm." And then he was like, "Okay." He doesn't speak a
Okay.
lot of English. And
I
she
love
was
that.
like, "Ah!" And and for good reason because like I said, the work that he's been putting in on her, she basically got a half sleeve. The work that he's put in is really, really, really beautiful. I watch a lot of Ink Masters, so I'm basically
I
like
have yet to
a
watch Ink Masters.
professional,
Yeah.
like a professional in the tattooing world
There's,
in
like
terms
there's
of
Ink Masters now, there's what is it, the bartending one? Like,
yeah,
something mixers or something
yeah.
like that. There's so many, like, food shows
Yeah,
now, like, on Netflix, in particular Netflix.
yeah.
Is the weird segue because I still want to tattoo in Japan, but what has been I don't watch a lot of the food content on Netflix, right?
Mm,
Or
mm.
I think the mixologist one would be super fascinating because I think mixology is very underrated in the
Yeah,
food space.
yeah, me
We
too.
always think about like, oh, the food and the ambiance and whatever, but I'm like, the bartenders put in a
The
lot of work.
cocktails, the
Yeah, the
cocktails.
cocktails take just as much work to make sense as the food. So,
Yeah.
is there one that has stood out to you that maybe you've watched recently?
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
I I
they're
don't know if
bringing
I've
back Iron Chef. They brought back Iron Chef on Netflix. That's been really fun.
I have so many questions. I have so many questions about
I
Iron Chef.
love it. It's so fun. Oh my
Isn't it
gosh.
super cheesy though? Like,
Yeah, but
yeah.
it's
I mean, I guess
great.
the original was pretty cornball too, but like, it's just extra.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is almost too cringy for me
over
as
the
I'm
top.
watching. But it was like Iron Chef America. No, not America. They brought
It's
it.
like a Iron Chef World that they're doing right
Okay.
now,
It was like
or
a
something like that.
competition where then you had to, like, battle different Iron Chefs and, like, you get the Iron Chef knife or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think the last one I watched was maybe Final Table, but that was, like,
Oh,
years ago.
yeah.
It's not that recent, right?
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
been
I
trying
don't
to
watch
watch
too many.
I've been trying to watch, like, the street food series, which I actually find pretty fascinating, like Street Food Asia, Street Food India, like, it's just
Yeah.
a street food series on Netflix.
Ugly Delicious.
Ugly Delicious is pretty good. I watch a lot of best ever food review shows. I just watched one where he was in Austin, Texas, eating at a bunch of really cool food trucks, but that's on
Yum.
YouTube. So
Yeah.
I'd actually like to know, chat. What food content do you guys watch that's not
Yeah.
on YouTube, right? Or even I guess maybe on YouTube too, because I was just watching like a Nick DiGiovanni video of him making what was he making, like buffalo chicken dip for Super Bowl,
Yum.
right? But it gave me a bunch of
Super
ideas,
Bowl season.
like Super
Super
Bowl
Bowl
food, right?
season.
I was like,
Yeah.
now I kind of want to make like bingeable feasts for when you're binge watching anime, right?
Dude,
Like just a
that is
fun,
my MO.
right? Just a
That's what I
fun thing.
love.
Each recipe
Yeah.
is like 15 minutes, that
Yeah.
kind of. Oh,
Like
Somebody
party
Feed
food.
Phil is so good. That lovely girl just said
Oh,
no reservations is amazing as well. That's really
yeah.
good. But like
Yeah.
Somebody Feed Phil is probably that's the most recent one I've watched.
It
It's
just
not like
got
a
renewed
cooking
for
show,
another season,
right?
I think.
I think are they doing one more? I thought they finished it. I thought
And I think it just got renewed for another season, and the only reason I know is because Somebody If You Feel, the cookbook that just came out, is published by my
um,
publisher. We're, like, in the
oh,
same
Simon and Brewster,
publishing.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're in the same imprint. I forget what my imprint is called, but, my editor is also working with him, I'm pretty
that's
sure.
wild. Chef
Yeah,
Show is good too. Chef Show is good. You guys have good
yeah,
taste. I'm happy about this. I think I can't believe I didn't think of Somebody Feed Phil because I didn't really consider that a like a cooking show, but it's absolutely
it
one of my
is.
favorite food shows, right?
Yeah,
Like just
yeah.
there was a I think it was a New York Times article that was bashing Somebody Feed Phil, and I was Taco
What?
Chronicles is good too, yeah. It was this article. I'm like, you missed the mark so hard, right? So if for those of you who have seen it, Phil is the writer or creator of Everybody Loves Raymond, right? So
Mhm.
he's a quirky guy. He's funny, he's like that dad, right? Who makes
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
weird dad jokes, and you're like, oh, it's kind of cringy, but it's really adorable, and he just likes
yeah.
food. Phil is the epitome of what like the normal human is for food, right? He might
Mm.
not know everything that goes into making the food. He might not know all of the history or whatever, but he can appreciate it and he can appreciate
Mhm.
the people and like the things surrounding it. And
Yeah.
this New York Times article is like, why is Phil running this? It should be a chef
Mm.
or something. I'm
Mm.
like, yeah, that would be cool, but then it wouldn't that show wouldn't resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah,
And I'm
it's
like,
not
"What are you talking about?"
yeah.
You know,
Oh,
I was so livid. I was like, It's literally not about having a chef do this.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
letting
yeah,
one
yeah, like,
person
y
do this show."
you want the person that's, like, experiencing it for the first time because it's like a self-insert for the
Yeah.
viewer, right?
Exactly. You're just like you're living vicariously through Phil. You're like, "Oh, I've never had that before. I've never made that before, but I would love
Yeah,
to experience it like Phil." Because if I eat something that I've never had before, I could probably eat it like, "Oh, wow, it tastes like this is in there. Maybe they did this method or whatever." But when
yeah.
you watch Phil eat something, he's just like, "How holy crap, that's the best thing I've ever had." It's, he
Yeah.
just describes
It's
them
like
with basic describer words. And
it's
you're like,
fun.
"Okay, yeah, I get
Yeah,
it."
yeah. Someone
I
said, another show, Salt, Fat, Acid,
Salt, Fat, Acid,
Heat.
Heat is great. It's, remind me of her name. I think
I,
it's Simone?
uh,
Simone? I forget
no.
her name.
I forget, but you know what? I haven't seen it. I read the book,
I have read the book as
and
well. Yeah.
and I am obsessed. I think that it is the book to read if you're not a professional, if you've never had professional training. I
Yep.
learned so much from that book. It was such a great read. It was
It's a
so
fanta
good.
there's a lot of YouTube cooks and or people with cooking content who
Mm.
swear by that book,
Mm,
right?
mhm.
There's a reason for that. You could
Yeah.
literally make 50 videos just on the basis of what she teaches in that
Yeah,
book, right?
yeah.
Just
Well,
100%.
it
So,
breaks cooking down to it I mean, when I don't know, I'm obsessed with the people who can open their fridge and just be like, "Okay, I have, like, a carrot and I have
yep,
a box of kimchi, I know what I'm making for dinner," and I'm like,
yep.
"What? How?"
Oh, god, yeah, yeah.
This is the book that,
That's
like
the book
this
that
is the
teaches
book
you.
that teaches you how to do that, basically. It's like, you can take any ingredients, and as long as you know how to manipulate your salt, fats, acids, and use heat to your advantage, you can come up with, like, anything
Almost anything,
amazing.
literally.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is fa I didn't think about this, right? So, I I recently made a video, we're still editing it, where I pulled out random ingredients. It was like 30 or 40 ingredients from my
Mm,
refrigerator, and
dang.
I typed it into ChatGPT,
Oh,
and I was like,
cool!
"Give me a 15-minute quick recipe based on these ingredients." And it just spat out a recipe. And I was like, "Cool. Can you make sure I'm only using, like, this ingredient and maybe not this ingredient? Sure, let's
Yeah,
modify that for you." I was like, "What?" Like, it
yeah,
just kind of
yeah.
mind-blowing. So I'm wondering if it uses maybe stuff like salt, fat, acid, heat for
Oh,
reference, right?
for sure,
Because when
for
I
sure.
made it, it was something I don't think I would have ever made, just
Yeah,
flat out. When I made it, I was
yeah.
like, "What the hell is happening? We're gonna eat it." My stomach killed me, right? But
Yeah,
it was an interesting process because now I
yeah.
think, "Oh, what am I missing?"
Mm,
Right? From, like, my repertoire, where
mm.
maybe I don't have time to read a full book, but maybe there's, like, an excerpt I can read from something, right? Maybe
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
another place I can go to eat, and maybe I want, like, birria tacos, but I don't wanna go through the time
Mm.
of making birria, right? Like, that, like,
Yeah.
what can I do to really do that?
Mm,
I it was so fun,
mm.
and now I'm like, sometimes I'll just spitball ideas to it. It's like talking to, like, the most intelligent friend I've ever met, which is really
Yeah,
sad to say, but
I know.
it's yeah, it's
Dude,
gonna be game changers.
I did not want to like AI. I did not wanna like ChatGPT. I did not wanna like Midjourney,
Mhm.
and I it is useful. It comes in handy when you're trying to bounce ideas off
Yeah.
or, like, I was just using it the other day. I was, again, working with Joe on this walking tour project, and we are kind of, like, trying to visualize how things are gonna look. So we're just, like, messing around on Midjourney, looking for some kind of art, which obviously has a lot of ethical problems.
Yep. Yeah,
But
I
we were
agree.
talking about it, and we're like, it just helps you conceptualize stuff,
Yeah, you don't need
in
to,
an
like,
easy
rip it
way.
from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think with, like, what you said, it's about conceptualizing, right? Like,
Mhm.
I'm using ChatGPT to actually help me just write better recipes because I'm not the best writer.
Yeah.
So I'll write my recipe and just write it all out. And I'm like, hey, can you fix the grammar? Could like edit. That's all I'm asking it to do is like just make the sentences better. So I
Yeah.
don't sound like because I'm very utilitarian when I write my recipes. It's like,
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
this and then do this and then do this. Now it's like, hey, can you just fix the grammar? Or can you
Yeah.
make sure the punctuation is good? Which some like I think like Illustrator does that and whatever, but it's just so much easier to just take it and just pop it in there
Put it
and just
in, yeah.
have it fix it for me.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I would love to try stuff like Midjourney to help me concept out, thumbnails. And I'm
Exactly,
not going to
yeah,
use it, but I'll be like, oh, I didn't think about maybe using those colors or
yeah.
whatever. But like, we should be using this stuff for food, right?
Mm,
Because if
mm,
you pull up ChatGPT, for those of you guys who like obviously love food, like you're talking about all of these really cool series, right? What if you just said, "Hey, I would love a really good dish based on fall ingredients,
mm,
and it's 6 ingredients or less." That's a prompt, and it'll spit out like, "Oh, you should try this," right? Granted, it's probably pulling from, 3 billion recipes that are on the internet, but it's like you're like, "Oh, that's really cool, but I don't have this ingredient. Let me do this instead." That's how I have started to use it. But
yeah.
I don't know if you guys have not used ChatGPT, like I don't wanna say that the robot revolution is coming, but, like, we're damn near at iRobot, right?
I
It
know.
it's gonna happen. So
It
I
is, and the only thing you can do is just to, like, roll with it. You're like,
Yep.
"Okay, the future is here. Let's use it. Let's, like, get into it." You know what I mean?
I think it'd be a really fun series if maybe like Rachel or whatever, right? Who somebody
Mm,
else, whoever it might be, gave me 2 recipes. One of them is from, like, an Anthony Bourdain cookbook, and one of them is from ChatGPT, and just,
mm,
like, we make both and do, like, a blind taste test
yeah,
and just see who likes what better.
yeah.
I don't know, it's the same thing with, like, if I wanna travel to Tokyo, can I ask it, "Hey, if I were traveling to Tokyo in the fall, what are some good clothing pieces to bring?" Right? Like,
Mm,
"Oh, you might need this or you might need," but I mean, that's kind of a Google question, but I don't know.
yeah,
I'm very fascinated by the robot revolution, so
yeah,
I
it's
think it's gonna
coming.
be fun. I think it's gonna be
Gotta
fun and disturbing.
gotta ride the wave.
Yep, yep, but
S
is there anything else you wanted to
FTC.
I like that we have all these pings in from chat, but
I know.
this
Yeah,
is I hope you guys have been enjoying the live. I've
yeah.
been enjoying having you guys here too. It's always fun to riff ideas. We're gonna try to do we should do like what was it? We were talking about doing just a community episode
I would
where
love to. I wanna
yeah,
I wanna, I wanna sit around and just, help people solve their cooking problems, you know?
yeah. We should either do something like that, bring people in, to
Mm,
like ask
mm,
questions in chat, we'll try to answer them, and
mhm,
then maybe bust out the AI. See
mhm,
what the AI
mhm.
says. Be
Let's
like,
let the AI
yeah,
solve the
what is
problems.
it gonna tell us to do?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
but yeah, I know this episode was all over the place. We talked about a lot of random stuff, but
Yeah,
yeah,
sometimes that's
I
how it goes.
I think that the honestly, towards the end where we started talking about, like, our favorite cooking shows and, like, how to use AI and stuff like that,
Mm,
that really gets my brain going a bit. Because now I wanna
yeah,
go watch Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat, after having read it. Like, I wanna go watch quite a few of these things. I
yeah.
love Max Miller, he's a friend of mine,
Mm.
seeing all these people in chat, I'm like, "That's sick." But, yeah, it was good. But, yeah, what do
Yay.
we have who do we have anybody on for the next one?
I don't think we do. You know who we should have on? We should have on Joe. Joe's
I
our
know. Joe's our
producer,
producer. Yeah.
and, he's a hoot and a half, but no, I don't think so.
Who
N
do you
nothing
guys in
planned.
chat wanna see us try to bring on that might be a foodie?
Yeah.
Yeah, who do you guys wanna see?
Yeah. Who are you curious, chat,
If we can
my
get a
dear
hold of
chat?
them. We don't have all of the
Yeah.
power, but we have some of
Yeah.
it. We have, like, 1 infinity stone.
Yeah. We've
That's
got
what we have.
1,
Yeah,
and,
if we're
maybe
lucky.
a
It's like a
half a
it's
half
like a
of a
broken
1.
infinity stone.
Yeah. Oh, man. I don't know, who do you wanna see? Is there
I
anyone you really wanna talk to, Paul?
Anybody that I wanna talk to? Oh,
Yeah.
man, who would I mean, let's get Ramsey in on this, and
Ah!
ask him about anime food,
Yeah.
you know? I think that'd be
Uh,
fascinating to, like, have an old school take on anime.
on anime food, yeah, see
Yeah,
what they think about that? Yeah, that would be cool. You're
bring
right.
Gandalf on, but we'll just put Gandalf in the background, just have him hang out over here.
Yeah.
Ask Josh. I don't think Josh is, like, in his own world. I don't if we tried messaging him, he'd be like, "Who are these people? Why are they
Yeah.
messaging us?" Yeah,
Who
it
are
would be
they and what do
interesting to
they
have
want?
because like you guys in chat, in both like Emily and I, like we all enjoy Japanese media,
Mhm.
anime in particular, the food surrounding it, the culture surrounding. I know someone like Josh does. He did work at a really like nice Japanese restaurant. It was like an
Mhm.
American Japanese restaurant, but I don't know if he cares about like the anime
Anime
side of it.
aspects. Who
Yeah,
is
because
this? Josh Weissman?
Josh Weissman, he does like the McDonald's like Big Mac but better series where
Oh,
he
yeah, yeah,
takes like
yeah,
a Big
yeah, yeah,
Mac
yeah.
and tries to make it
Oh,
better.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have my thoughts on that, which I won't say publicly, but I'm like, bro, if you're spending 8 hours making a Big Mac, it better be better than the one I can go get in 15 minutes.
I
So,
know, right? There is
but
something to be said for the joy of fast food. Like, it's fast, it's
I
convenient.
I think
It's in
fast food,
your
like
hand to
a lot of
mouth
people
15 minutes.
no, yeah, and a lot of people rag on fast food, but I'm like, there's definitely a time and place for fast food.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it, you're gonna go and like even the In and Out stuff where you're paying whatever $5 for a double
Yeah,
double.
yeah.
You know how long it's gonna take me to make a double double at home if I make my own
So
buns? Even if
long,
I don't make
so
my own
long.
buns, it's still gonna be
Yeah,
30-40 minutes,
yeah,
depending on what I'm making. Like,
yeah,
I'd rather just go get a burger from In and Out and call it a day.
yeah.
You know? Like,
Sometimes you
I'm
just
okay
wanna
with
eat.
having some KFC fried chicken every now
Yeah,
and then. Yeah.
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
god.
Josh from Mythical Kitchen would be fun. I'm gonna try to send him a message. He's
Dude,
wild. He does I don't know if you've seen his stuff. He does,
no.
like, the $300 taco where he'll go to, like, Taco Bell, and
Oh!
he'll buy
Yeah,
a taco,
yeah,
and, like, we have a
yeah,
$300 budget to make a $300 version, but I
yeah,
actually love Josh from Mythical Kitchen because he loves fast food. He's
yeah,
like, he'll bust out the Taco Bell, he's like, "I ate Taco Bell last night," not even for
yeah,
camera, right? Like, that
yeah,
kinda
yeah.
thing, so
That
that'd
would be
be,
really cool.
that'd be fun. We'll try to
Um,
ping some of these people,
yeah.
and we'll bring on Joe as our producer to,
Hell yeah.
give us the down low on everything else we've missed, but
Dude, do you wanna see before we wrap up and go, do you wanna
yeah.
see my treasure that I have in my cupboard right here? You
What did you
said
break?
you said KFC, which made me think about fried chicken. Fried chicken made me think about like,
Why
the
is it in
fried
your
chicken
cupboard?
tenders? No, no,
Yes.
wait, wait. You know the fried chicken tenders you can get at, like, Vons or whatever? I
Yes.
love those, and I'm obsessed with them.
Yeah.
Last time I went, I got some,
Wait,
and
from Buns.
yeah, 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 yeah. This was when I was there over Christmas break,
Oh,
and
okay, yes,
then
okay.
I got what's the best dipping sauce for chicken tenders? Obviously ranch. So I got 2. I got
And you
2,
still have it, dude?
and I have
You
1,
can that's
and
still
I'm
good? Emily,
oh, of course.
what's the
It's
expiration date?
May 2023. I have
Oh, you have
4
4 months,
months.
3 months to eat it.
I've just been waiting for the right opportunity to eat this holy cup of ranch.
You're just gonna have, like, a really rough day, and you're gonna come
Mm.
home and you're gonna do shots of ranch dressing.
Yeah, yeah, this is my life here. There's so much good food in Japan, but, like, I like, the anticipation of eating this is, like I just make my mouth water right now. I'm like, "Ooh, one
It
day."
is good.
Mm.
Ken's ranch
It's
is
so good.
good. Admittedly, Ken's ranch is good, and I love Ethan. I talked sorry, I don't know if you've seen Ethan's stuff, Emily. He's a
Mm.
fantastic YouTube cook as well, or YouTube cooking channel. Um,
I'm extremely good with faces, I'm terrible with names. I don't
yeah,
remember anyone's name, but
he does a lot of I think what you and I like of like a 15-minute healthy recipe, like
ooh,
trying to compare which salts are better for you or whatever it is. So
ooh,
yeah, let me
dude.
like Ethan, will you come on my podcast?
Yeah. Wait, someone in the comments says that they can call Ethan smiley face. Really? Bet.
That was actually me under my wife's account because I'm
Ah,
on her
nice.
I'm actually on her computer for doing the
Nice.
podcast. So
Nice.
yeah, this is Rachel's account.
I love it.
Yeah, which sounds kind of sus, That'd be super fun. But yeah, guys, also hit us up on Patreon if you want to support us there. You can also anything that you guys recommend, you can throw in there, throw in the chat, let us know what you want to see for future topics. We're always looking for
Yeah.
topics. But we want to get more community involvement. I think
Yeah.
hopefully if you come out for Anime Expo, I would love to do a podcast at Anime Expo. That'd be sick. Right?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Look, Anime Expo last year was
A
it was
lot.
a time. It was a
Yeah.
lot. I'm turning 30 that week. 30
Let's
on the
go.
30th.
You're old.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. So, I'm gonna be in LA, I think. I just don't really know the whole
Okay.
situation,
If you're
but
turning 30 and you're gonna be in LA, we'll go to dinner, but we don't have to do Anime Expo. So just we'll go get you some we'll
fair.
go get you some Galbi Gym,
Fair
whatever.
enough.
We'll get you some Japanese whiskey. It'll be a ball because I'm gonna be in Southern
Ooh.
California anyways. So
We'll think about it. Like I said, I gotta solidify my summer plans, but yeah, chat, do let us know. Let us know what you want us to talk about, and,
yep.
we wanna talk with you more, so I would love to do a food consultant episode.
Food
Um,
consulting episode. That'd be sick.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll try
right,
to put
right.
together some giveaway stuff too. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll do
yeah,
like a knives or something like that. But
yeah.
yeah, guys, follow us on all the things down below. This has been
Yeah,
Paul.
and
And
I've been Emily.
yeah, thanks for joining us on another live episode of the FoodTaku Podcast. You guys have a fantastic evening, day,
Yeah,
night, whatever time it might be.
absolutely. See you
Bye, guys.
later. Bye.